The sound of booming reverberated in all directions, and the overwhelming primordial energy suddenly dissipated. The lightning pierced through the air, heading straight toward Wang Lin. His eyes flashed, and he raised his right hand to deliver a powerful strike forward. The power of the ancient god stirred, and immediately, a massive phantom of an ancient god appeared behind Wang Lin. This phantom was incredibly large and moved in sync with Wang Lin's punch, throwing out a powerful fist. A series of explosive sounds echoed as it collided with the lightning sigil. The heavens and earth seemed to change color. With a tremor, the lightning sigil immediately shattered, but the lightning power it contained turned into a vast sea of thunder, descending toward Wang Lin. A venomous light flashed in Songzi Cang's eyes. He struck with the strongest divine ability, filled with hatred, wishing for Wang Lin's immediate death. Lightning. Wang Lin's eyes held disdain. A flash of electric light suddenly flickered in his right eye, and a vortex appeared on his forehead. The primordial thunder dragon's primordial spirit surged out, roaring toward the countless bolts of thunder descending from the sky. Roar. The primordial thunder dragon, wielding the power of heaven and earth's thunder, roared. As it did, Wang Lin's right eye sparkled with frantic electric light, enveloping his entire body, and a radius of several hundred meters around him instantly became a thunderpool. The thunderbolts from the sky froze for a moment, before surging madly into Wang Lin's body, merging with the thunderpool and transforming into a boundless lightning hell. In the lightning hell, Wang Lin stood as though he were a thunder immortal. With each breath, the surrounding thunderbolts immediately contracted, gathering toward his right eye. Seeing this, Songzi Cang's face turned pale, his eyes wide in disbelief. Nearby, Chen Tianjun broke into a sweat, his face devoid of color, his eyes filled with shock. Wang Lin did not pause. After absorbing the electric light, his right eye flickered, and within it, a faint trace of lightning appeared. It swiftly morphed, resembling the previous attack from Songzi Cang. A streak of lightning shot forward, heading directly towards Songzi Cang. Songzi Cang immediately retreated, his hands forming seals. 7 primordial spirits flew out from his face, releasing a massive amount of blood light that surrounded him, attempting to resist the lightning. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. While his cultivation had not truly advanced, the breakthrough in his conceptual realm made his divine abilities far stronger. Compared to his first battle with Songzi Cang, he was now vastly different. In the instant the lightning shot out, Wang Lin's right hand grasped the void, and a storage rift appeared in front of him. 7 colored light radiated from it, and 7 colored nails materialized in his hand. He threw them forward. The 7 colored nails transformed into streaks of 7 colored light, speeding towards Songzi Cang with a sharp whistle. The blood light before Songzi Cang intensified, but the lightning arrived first, charging straight into the blood light. The blood light seemed to boil, and the sound of booming explosions erupted as it shattered and dissipated. Songzi Cang continued retreating, tearing open his storage pouch to retrieve a treasure. But at that moment, he suddenly sensed an overwhelming life and death crisis. In the collapsing blood light ahead, a streak of 7 colored light pierced through, heading straight for him. Songzi Cang's face turned ashen, and the 7 colored nail's speed was so fast that it pierced through his chest, causing blood to spurt out, exploding into a cloud of 7 colored mist. His primordial spirit attempted to escape within the mist, but it was immediately struck with a painful grunt as a 7 colored nail firmly nailed his primordial spirit's chest. Songzi Cang's primordial spirit showed panic, but his eyes immediately flashed with madness. In that instant, Wang Lin's figure appeared behind him. He raised his right hand and struck the top of Songzi Cang's primordial spirit with a powerful blow. Seizing the opportunity of the heavy injury, Wang Lin began his soul search. Memories flashed rapidly from Songzi Cang's primordial spirit as Wang Lin absorbed them. Songzi Cang's primordial spirit trembled, growing more frantic. In a matter of moments, the madness reached its peak. He let out a furious roar, and his primordial spirit began to ooze blood vessels that spread across his body. Wang Lin withdrew, no longer paying attention to Songzi Cang, and instead swept through the open storage space, taking everything inside. All of this happened in an instant. Just then, Songzi Cang went berserk. Clutching his head, blood light radiating from his body, his eyes burned with a beastly intensity. He pointed to the sky and roared, but suddenly his body trembled. A booming sound came from within, and he rapidly began to wither. Moments later, his primordial spirit dissipated and transformed into a blood-colored pearl. The blood pearl flashed with crimson light, instantly concealing the radiance of the rainbow realm. The world turned blood red as the blood pearl shot toward the sky. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. This was his first time using the 7-colored nails. From his previous experience of forcing out this item, he knew that once the 7-colored nails were planted, all life force would be rapidly drained in a moment of madness, leading to certain death. However, he never expected that in the moment of death, such a blood pearl would form. As the blood pearl shot up into the sky, Wang Lin immediately moved without hesitation, darting toward it. In an instant, he was close enough to grab it. The moment his hand touched the pearl, it began to struggle, as if trying to break free. A surge of frantic power emanated from within the pearl, causing Wang Lin's mind to tremble. His body was involuntarily pulled toward the void, as if the pearl was trying to drag him away. Wang Lin's face changed, but just then, the Tianjun heaven-defying pearl, which had not shown any change in his primordial spirit for a long time, suddenly began to condense within him. It spun rapidly, and at the same time, a mysterious force surged into his right hand, spreading across the pearl. The pearl shook, stopped struggling, and swiftly merged into Wang Lin's right hand, sinking into the Tianjun within his primordial spirit. On Wang Lin's right hand, 7-colored light gathered, and the nail-like object reappeared in a flash. This strange scene shook Wang Lin's mind, but he did not let any of his emotions show. He put the 7-colored nail away and shifted his gaze toward Chen Tianjun, who was standing on a nearby mountain peak. Chen Tianjun had witnessed Wang Lin slay Songzi Cang, and now his face was ashen. When Wang Lin's gaze fell upon him, he instinctively took a few steps back and clasped his hands in a salute. "Brother Liu, your cultivation is astonishing. I truly admire you. That Songzi Cang was a vile man, bringing us here. For him to die at your hands is his destiny. He truly deserves it. Well done, Brother Liu." As Wang Lin walked closer to Chen Tianjun, he gave a slight salute in return. "I left earlier, but when I reached the altar, I couldn't find a way out of this 7-colored realm. Then, I encountered a fierce beast. After suffering heavy injuries, I found my way here and am now healing," Chen Tianjun explained cautiously, anticipating Wang Lin's question and offering an explanation first. "Brother Liu, escaping from the 12th Order fierce beast is no small feat." Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged as he spoke slowly. Chen Tianjun's heart raced. He immediately responded, "My technique is special, and I know quite a bit about fierce beasts, which is why I was barely able to escape." Wang Lin had no grudge with Chen Tianjun, nor had they fought over treasures together. He clasped his hands in return and was about to leave. "Brother Liu, wait. I have a request." Chen Tianjun hesitated for a moment but then steeled himself. When he saw Wang Lin preparing to leave, he quickly gathered his resolve. "What is it?" Wang Lin turned to look at him. "Brother Liu, when you searched Songzi Cang's spirit, did you happen to discover a way to leave this place?" Chen Tianjun asked, his tone somewhat nervous. Wang Lin paused for a moment, then nodded slightly. Chen Tianjun sighed in relief, his expression growing more respectful. He clasped his hands earnestly and said, "Please, Brother Liu, help me leave this place. I'll agree to any conditions, as long as we can escape this cursed place." Wang Lin scanned Chen Tianjun's face, then shook his head. "I do not plan to leave so soon." Chen Tianjun was taken aback. After a brief hesitation, he lowered his voice and said, "It's fine. If Brother Liu decides to leave later, you can take me with you. There's no rush. If there's anything I can help with, please don't hesitate to ask." Seeing that Wang Lin's expression remained indifferent, seemingly not agreeing, Chen Tianjun quickly added, "Brother Liu, with my knowledge of fierce beasts and the divine arts of my beast-taming sect, I can help you acquire primordial crystals from these countless transforming fog beasts. I've roughly calculated that there are probably hundreds of them here, and there are many primordial crystals to be obtained. If you agree to take me with you when you leave, I will risk everything to gather all these crystals for you. And once we leave, I will reward you handsomely." Wang Lin's mind stirred. After pondering for a moment, he nodded slightly and handed Chen Tianjun a jade slip. "Once you've collected the primordial crystals, you can transmit a message to me." With that, Wang Lin turned and left without another word. Chen Tianjun watched Wang Lin's figure disappear into the distance, letting out a long sigh of relief. He hadn't lied. He genuinely wanted to leave this place. Originally, he thought there was no hope, but after witnessing Songzi Cang's death, he realized the opportunity to leave rested with Wang Lin. That's why he acted so decisively. Collecting the primordial crystals is dangerous. I'll need to prepare. Chen Tianjun took a deep breath, clutching the jade slip as if holding on to his last hope. He turned and made his way back to his cave mansion. Back in the valley, Wang Lin immediately began setting up formations around himself with the large number of primordial crystals he had taken out. As he absorbed and exhaled, heavenly Tao energy gathered from all directions, flowing into his body as he progressed toward the mid-pure nirvana stage. Though this place is perilous, it's also an excellent place for cultivation. In Songzi Cang's memories, there's a stone statue where his physical body was reforged. Perhaps I can absorb something from it. Also, those 3 outer realm beings have powers and information from the outer realm that I need. Not to mention that old woman in the green robe, her life and death seal, and Sima Mo's time seal. In the vast starry sky, there was an enormous star domain far larger than Luotian, Kungsu, Zhahai, and Yuhai combined. Even the 4 regions together were nothing compared to this boundless star domain. Here, it was known as the outer realm by those sealed within. The inhabitants of the outer realm referred to it as the primordial stars. In a certain forbidden starry region of these primordial stars, there stood a mysterious palace. It appeared empty, lifeless, and within the grand hall floated several 7-colored light spheres. Inside each sphere was a jade slip, inscribed with names. Qing Shui, Tian Yunzi, Chong Xuanzi, Shui Daozi, Sima Mo, Songzi Cang. At this moment, the jade slip engraved with the name Songzi Cang shattered with a loud bang, turning into fragments that scattered into the air. A sigh echoed throughout the palace. The instant the sigh reverberated, time seemed to reverse. The shattered jade slip's fragments immediately transformed, reassembling into the slip as if the previous destruction had never happened. However, the name etched on the reassembled jade slip had changed to Wang Lin. The place to plant the Tao is about to be realized. With the soul of this person, the Tao will be completed. The murmured voice reverberated in the palace, sounding like self-talk, yet also like a transmission through the starry sky. Deep within the rainbow realm, on the mountain peak where Wang Lin's mind had once traveled, an elderly man with white hair sat cross-legged. Behind him stood a cave mansion, from which emanated a rainbow-colored glow. Faint, sorrowful wails could be heard coming from within. The old man suddenly raised his head and gazed at the sky. After a long silence, he nodded quietly. The origins of the rainbow realm were mysterious, its depths unpredictable, and dangers lurked everywhere. Yet, for Wang Lin, this was nothing short of a grand opportunity. Especially after absorbing Songzi Cang's memories, Wang Lin had gained deeper insights into the rainbow realm. He even understood the purpose of the liquid within the jade bottle and had learned the method to leave this place. Had Wang Lin's cultivation not broken through from the initial stage of the pure nirvana realm to the middle stage, he would have hesitated, pondering the risks. The memories he had inherited from Songzi Cang provided him with a clearer understanding of the realm's dangers. More importantly, he now knew of the mountain peak's existence at the deepest point of this place. But now, with his breakthrough in battle intent, Wang Lin only needed to absorb enough primordial crystals to reach the middle stage of pure nirvana. Once there, with his ancient god body, crushing a late-stage shattered nirvana cultivator would be no trouble. The only challenge would be the late-stage shattered nirvana. If I can reach the peak of pure nirvana, then even late-stage shattered nirvana experts will be no match for me. Wang Lin inhaled deeply, and the vast primordial energy within the valley surged toward him. In an instant, it was all absorbed into his body. The thundering sounds of the energy being drawn echoed as Wang Lin's hair stirred without wind. His essence spirit sat cross-legged within him, expanding, devouring the boundless primordial energy that surged into his body. As the primordial energy increased, Wang Lin's essence spirit had grown to the same size as his body, filling him entirely. His eyes suddenly snapped open, and 2 beams of light, as bright as stars, shot out, tearing through the sky. The moment his eyes opened, the vast amount of primordial crystals surrounding him exploded, turning into dust that spiraled back toward him, forming circular marks around his body. Mid-pure nirvana. Wang Lin smiled and exhaled, flipping his right hand to reveal a jade bottle. This bottle was the one he had taken from Songzi Cang. Let the lost one swallow the Tao. Let the inscribed shadows nourish the Tao. Merge into the 4 stone tablets here, and transform using the scriptures on the skeletal remains beneath them, creating an unfathomable power. Then, use this power to invade the bones, extracting the blood. This is no ordinary blood, but the Tao marrow of the person who once lived in these bones. Wang Lin's eyes shone with brilliance. This was the crucial information he had gleaned from Songzi Cang's memories. How Songzi Cang knew this was unclear in the memories. After all, Songzi Cang was a mid-stage shattered nirvana cultivator, and Soul Search wasn't without its flaws. The memories couldn't provide the full picture. The key to the Dao Marrow lies in the identity of the person whose half-buried remains are here. There are 2 stone tablets, and from my previous observations, each one should have a half set of bones beneath them. This implies that these belong to the same person. This person must have been someone of great renown in their lifetime. Whether they were killed or their bones exhumed after death to force out their Dao through this earth-shattering method, turning it into Dao Marrow. Drinking this Dao Marrow will grant you their Dao. The scriptures on the bones were added later, likely by a great divine ability practitioner who transformed their divine art into these scriptures, devising this terrifying method. However, this Dao Marrow cannot be consumed directly. Once ingested, one will fall into a deep sleep, and no one knows how long it will last before awakening. Songzi Cang's plan was to find a safe place within this realm to drink the Dao Marrow and wait for the day of awakening. This was also why he hadn't immediately consumed it during his battle with the old woman in the green robe. The place he chose to sleep in was the deepest peak of this realm. But in Songzi Cang's memories, there was no reason found for him to go there, nor was there any sign of that white-haired old man. Wang Lin's gaze flickered as he stared at the jade bottle in his hand. Interesting. It seems everything in this place exists to provide the stone tablets with Dao comprehension. Even the fierce beasts are part of this. I wonder why there are no 13th level fierce beasts here. Perhaps all of them were killed, their Dao souls absorbed. The crux of everything lies in the Dao Marrow within this jade bottle. But for the great divine ability cultivator who laid out this realm, drinking it may not be as simple as it seems. The white-haired elder on the mountain peak was surely guarding something. Perhaps this entire situation had a significant connection to what he was protecting. After a brief moment of contemplation, Wang Lin put away the jade vial and tucked it into his chest. However, the jade slip from Sima Imo mentioned that there are 4 stone tablets here. But when I scanned with my mental essence earlier, I only saw 2, and one of them was completely empty, with no skeletal remains or jade vial. This is quite strange. After a moment of silence, Wang Lin raised his head and looked towards the 9 cave mansions in the valley. He had only opened the first 3, the 4th and beyond remained closed. His body flickered, and in an instant, he appeared outside the 4th cave mansion. Placing his right hand on the mountain stone, Wang Lin's primordial energy began to circulate. With a gentle press, a series of loud cracking sounds erupted as all the restrictions shattered, and the stone was forcefully moved aside, revealing a loud rumble. The moment the stone shifted, Wang Lin's gaze sharpened as he looked inside, only to furrow his brows. The 4th cave mansion was empty, devoid of any items. Stepping inside, Wang Lin searched thoroughly but found nothing of note. After a brief moment of contemplation, Wang Lin moved towards the 5th cave mansion. This one also had restrictions, and the sealing method was the time seal. The fluctuations of the restriction were incredibly powerful. Breaking this restriction would not be easy. Wang Lin raised his right hand and performed a series of hand seals. Immediately, an afterimage of the restriction materialized, and as his palm fell onto the stone, a deafening rumble echoed. The mountain stone turned transparent, revealing large, undulating waves. The instant the stone became transparent, Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He froze for a moment, staring intently at what was inside the cave mansion beyond the transparent stone. There were people inside. For cultivators, their clothes tattered and hairless, their eyes filled with a vacant, zombie-like expression, aimlessly wandering within the cave mansion. It seemed as though they never stopped walking, continuously pacing for countless years without rest. On the ground of the cave mansion was an array, glowing softly. As the 4 moved, the light slowly enveloped them, seeping into their bodies. In the center of the array was a jade slip. Lost ones. Wang Lin immediately recognized the identity of these 4. Recalling the contents of Sima Mo's jade slip, he inhaled deeply, then in a flash, rushed to the 6th cave mansion, using the same method to make the stone transparent before looking inside. Inside the 6th cave mansion were 3 figures. These 3 seemed to have lost their physical bodies, leaving only their soul forms drifting within the cave. They seemed to be murmuring something, but the stone blocked the sound, and Wang Lin couldn't hear them. Inscribed shadows. Wang Lin murmured, recognizing the presence of more restrictions inside the cave. These restrictions were designed to completely seal the 3 inscribed shadows, preventing their escape. Only if they ever woke up would they be able to break the restrictions on their own. Once again, there was a jade slip placed within the restrictions. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin moved towards the 7th cave mansion. Upon making the stone transparent, his pupils contracted as he saw an elderly figure sitting cross-legged inside. The old man's hair was gray, his face ashen, and he sat in an eternal meditative posture. The restrictions here were far more powerful than the ones in the inscribed Shadows cave, tightly sealing him in with countless layers. The moment Wang Lin's gaze fell upon the old man, the elder's eyes suddenly snapped open. His gaze was filled with madness as he fixedly stared at Wang Lin through the stone, letting out a furious roar, charging like a wild beast. Immediately, divine abilities manifested around his body, rushing towards the stone in an attempt to attack. However, the moment his divine abilities appeared, the restrictions within the cave flickered rapidly and absorbed the divine energy in an instant. The old man roared even louder and struck the stone with both hands. Not a single sound escaped, not even the old man's roars, which Wang Lin could only interpret from his lip movements. The stone remained completely still. After a long while, the elder seemed to grow tired. He fixed his gaze on Wang Lin, then slowly retreated, resuming his seated meditative posture. The restrictions gradually returned to their original state. Could he be the rebel practitioner? After observing the three caves, Wang Lin understood. These individuals were Sima Mo's fellow disciples. Sima Mo had brought them back and sealed them in these caves, hoping to awaken them. But it seemed that Sima Mo had not succeeded. The lost ones and the inscribed shadows in these caves are likely tied to the time seal. Sima Mo's plan was to have them awaken, and once that happened, if they learned the time seal from the jade slip, they could break the sealing array from within. With a soft sigh, Wang Lin moved towards the 8th cave mansion. Unlike the previous caves, the stone here wasn't sealed by the time seal, but by ordinary methods. With a simple wave of his hand, Wang Lin dispelled the restriction, and the mountain stone rumbled as it moved aside. When the 8th cave mansion was revealed, Wang Lin drew in a sharp breath, staring at what was inside. After a long moment, he exhaled. Inside the cave mansion was a half-skeleton. The skeleton is from the lower half of the body, with countless scriptures carved on it, emitting no light, only a deep, dark blackness. On the ground, there is an array seal, tightly locking this half-skeleton in place. So this is where the lost skeleton from the stone tablet ended up. Wang Lin's gaze swept over the skeleton, and he immediately felt a powerful force trying to pull his mind away. He took several steps back, decisively severing his connection to this mental force without hesitation. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin remained silent for a moment. He wasn't willing to leave just yet. His eyes fixed on the skeleton. On the right leg bone, there was a deep fracture. Though it hadn't completely broken, the wound was severe. After a long while, Wang Lin made several hand seals, pressing down on his body to create numerous restrictions to seal his mind. Then, with a sweep of his hand, he retrieved the crystal sword of Songzi Cang, leaving a trace of his mental essence on the blade before placing it aside. He then slowly walked forward, carefully taking each step, and approached the skeleton. He crouched down and, without hesitation, placed his right hand firmly on the wound of the leg bone, allowing his mind to enter through his hand. Perception through the mind. As Wang Lin's divine sense touched the skeleton, a sudden explosion rang in his mind. His control over his own mind was immediately lost. From within the vortex, an indescribable and powerful force emerged, pulling Wang Lin's divine sense deeper and deeper, as if he were a lone boat caught in a raging storm, being drawn further into the whirlpool. As though traveling through time to a past era he had never known. The booming in his mind grew louder and more intense. If someone were watching from outside the cave mansion, they would clearly see Wang Lin's body trembling violently. His eyes were tightly shut, his face pale, even contorted in pain. His right hand shook more severely, but it was firmly attached to the skeleton. At that moment, the skeleton suddenly emitted golden light. But just as the light flickered, the scriptures on the skeleton began to radiate black light, trying to suppress the golden glow, and a battle ensued between the two forces. This was a world filled with chaos, where the sky and the earth could not be distinguished. It seemed to exist, yet not exist at all. In the distant void, a figure slowly approached. Dressed in white, the figure appeared to be an elderly man, though his form was blurry, making it difficult to discern clearly. He looked up at the sky, as if in contemplation. Suddenly, the chaotic sky was torn apart by a 7-colored beam of light, which roared through the heavens, immediately shattering the world and transforming it into a starry sky. However, the sky was not black. It was 7-colored. Looking around, the entire world had turned into a rainbow of colors. The elderly man in white suddenly raised his head. With a wave of his right hand, the character Battle appeared in the air, surrounding his body, emitting an overwhelming golden light that forced the surrounding 7-colored light back. At that very instant, a mighty voice echoed through the heavens and earth. The opening of the heavens and earth is the great, the transformation of heaven is the beginning, and the gathering of the earth is the end. What I cultivate is the greatness of the heavens and the beginning of the rules. The 7 colors guide the way, sealing. With the utterance of the word seal, all the 7-colored light in this world surged violently, as if controlled by some force, gathering toward the elderly man in white with immense speed. In Wang Lin's eyes, this scene appeared as though the heavens and the earth were rolling back, creating a 7-colored seal that continued to condense, eventually trapping the old man in white entirely. The sky above was filled with 7-colored clouds, and it seemed as though the entire world was collapsing. Roars emanated from the 7-colored light, but they gradually grew weaker until they completely dissipated. War Xingye, had it not been for me giving you the battle character scroll, how could you have achieved your current ethereal realm? Using the battle soul as a guide, I was able to find the place where the war ghost buried his bones during the void cataclysm, take his skeleton, and extract the Dao marrow from both you and your ancestor. I shall destroy your nirvana and complete my divine plan for the Dao of heaven. The voice, filled with weariness, gradually faded away. At the same time, the world in Wang Lin's mind began to fragment and collapse, pulling his soul into the void, threatening to destroy him. Back in Sima Mo's cave mansion, the golden light on the skeleton Wang Lin touched was completely overshadowed by the black light, gradually pushing it into a corner. The black light surged toward Wang Lin's hand, attempting to invade his body. In that instant, the crystal sword, left behind by Wang Lin to maintain his mental essence, suddenly flashed with brilliance. It shot towards Wang Lin with incredible speed, passing by his fingertips, severing his connection to the skeleton just as the black light closed in. Wang Lin's body jolted, and he instantly regained his senses. Without hesitation, he stepped back, his mind turbulent. Ancestor of the Zhan family were Xingye. Wang Lin's expression was dark, his mind racing with thoughts of the Luo Tian era. He remembered the ancestors of the Zhan family, who had crossed the starry sky only to vanish without a trace, never to be heard from again. Zhan Xingye, a remarkably gifted individual, had once inadvertently acquired the battle scripture and pondered over it, understanding the essence of battle intent. Ultimately, his quest for a higher realm led him to leave. No matter how hard future generations searched, they could never find any trace of Zhan Xingye. I can't believe it. He is Zhan Xingye. The person who killed Zhan Xingye, claiming to be the true one and wielding primordial force, could it be the Palm Sovereign? Wang Lin's expression grew darker, recalling the scene he had witnessed earlier. A chill ran through his heart as he thought about the 7-colored divine ability, similar to the remnants of night but far more powerful. With a single move, Zhan Xingye had no chance to resist. Wang Lin's mouth was dry. In silence, his brows furrowed, his gaze flashing with uncertainty. Wait. If Zhan Xingye was truly killed, why does his will still remain so clearly within his bones? If he were completely dead, this will should have dispersed. Even if it existed, it wouldn't be so vivid. And what about that person who seemed to be the Palm Sovereign? His voice had clearly shown signs of exhaustion. Wang Lin's thoughts spun in confusion, but no clear answers came. Void cataclysm. Could these be the 2 realms from the 3rd step? When I once pondered over the battle scripture, I saw an old man. The battle scripture was drawn by him. He had mentioned achieving the void realm and breaking through the boundary. Could he be the Zhan old ghost mentioned by the Palm Sovereign? The one who buried his bones in the void cataclysm? From his tone, it seemed that the Palm Sovereign feared this Zhan old ghost. To find his burial site, he sought out Zhan Kangye, gave him the battle scripture, and had him cultivated, ultimately killing him to take his soul. Everything was for the heavenly Dao scheme. But what exactly is this heavenly Dao scheme? Wang Lin's mind began to clear. Though there were still many unanswered questions, some thoughts began to form. For stone tablets, 2 complete skeletons. The first skeleton is Zhan Xingye's. Could the second be that of Zhan Xingye's master, Zhan Old Ghost? Wang Lin sucked in a breath. The battle scripture must be the Dao legacy left by Zhan Old Ghost. Wang Lin looked deeply at the skeleton inside, especially as he saw the faint golden light appearing on it. After a moment of silence, he reached into his storage dimension, where the battle scriptures were kept, 3 in total. He had already opened the first 2, but the third, which he obtained from a descendant of the Zhan family, he had never dared to open. Now, as he stared at the skeleton, his right hand reached out into the air, and immediately, 3 light spheres flew out from his storage dimension. These 3 spheres contained the 3 battle scriptures. At the moment the battle scriptures appeared, the golden light that had been gathering on the skeleton suddenly flashed wildly, detaching from the bones and racing toward the battle scriptures. In an instant, it merged into them, and the golden light flashed as the 3 battle scriptures fused into one. This strange transformation was expected by Wang Lin. His gaze hardened as he focused on the merging battle scriptures. After a moment, the fusion was complete, and the golden light illuminated the entire cave. Before Wang Lin, a golden, illusory battle character appeared. The golden light of the character shimmered, emitting a vast, overwhelming aura. With a flash, it surged directly toward Wang Lin, and with a wave of his right hand, he absorbed it into his storage dimension. You've acquired the battle scriptures, and in doing so, you've unknowingly become the successor of Jean Old Ghost. Because of you, the place where his bones are buried was discovered by that person who seemed to be the Palm Sovereign. After countless years, I, Wang, obtained the battle scriptures from your descendants. And now, I've seen your bones. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a complex emotion. He sighed deeply and turned to leave the cave, sealing it with stones. The 9th cave, Wang Lin did not open. The formation on it was beyond his ability to break. He only saw that it was filled with 7-colored mist, obscuring what lay inside. Within the valley, Wang Lin stood silently before Simamo's bones. After a long while, he left. Before departing, he visited the 1st cave where the mosquito beast resided, leaving more primordial crystals behind. As he walked out of the valley, his eyes glowed with determination. He needed to visit the place he had seen earlier, where the stone tablet stood, to examine the upper half of Zhang Xingye's skeleton. Having retrieved the memories of Pang Dicai and Songzi Cang, Wang Lin was no longer unfamiliar with the 7-colored realm. The various routes were deeply etched in his mind. At this moment, his figure turned into a rainbow streak, rushing not into the sky but across the ground. He passed through various valleys and eventually arrived at the place where the formation that sealed the old woman in the blue robe had once been. The formation had been broken, and the old woman was nowhere to be found. After a quick scan, Wang Lin didn't pause and headed straight for the mountain range. He crossed it and entered the mist, familiar with the path. The whispers of the inscribed shadows echoed in his ears as several of them floated past him. The more Wang Lin learned, the more he understood about these inscribed shadows. They were all cultivators from ancient times to the present, yet here, they had become vessels to nourish the Tao for others. Wang Lin could even imagine that these inscribed shadows must have been extraordinary figures during their lifetimes, possessing remarkable talent and a profound understanding of the Tao, which led them to become trapped by Tao scriptures and ultimately turned into Tao nourishment vessels. He sighed inwardly, but didn't linger. He pressed forward, and gradually he saw through the mist a gigantic stone statue. Underneath it, Wang Lin stopped in his tracks. His eyes flickered as he leapt up to land on the statue's head. In the memories of Songzi Cang, the technique he cultivated was known as the 100 Lifetimes Blood Essence Infant Transformation Art. The 7th spirit of the sealing boundary he summoned was a result of the insights gained from this stone statue. His Blood Essence Infant, a divine ability, could manifest 9 beings similar to a nascent soul, but with far greater power. What's more, these 9 entities were not nascent souls, but rather, they allowed Songzi Cang's cultivation speed to increase by 9 times. Even more astonishing, each blood infant could condense a unique divine ability. Often, cultivators had to choose between conflicting abilities, such as the solar harvesting lunar gathering ancestral return art of the old woman in the green robe. However, for Songzi Cang, there was no such restriction. His 9 blood infants could cultivate different abilities separately. However, before his battle with Wang Lin, the old woman had taken one of his infants. Later, during their battle, both of them suffered heavy injuries, and not all of the divine abilities were brought to full fruition. One of Songzi Cang's blood infants had comprehended the insight left by the lightning sigil in the center of the stone statue's brow. With the 9-fold comprehension power, he barely managed to receive part of the inheritance from the sigil. Now, during his second battle with Wang Lin, under the divine power that controlled the thunder of heaven and earth, the majority of this inheritance was absorbed and condensed in his right eye. At this moment, he took a deep breath. His mind spread out, enveloping the area around the statue. His right eye sparked with lightning, which suddenly detached from his body. At that very moment, the lightning sigil on the stone statue's brow flickered violently, with electric arcs surging and crackling sounds echoing throughout. There was even a faint rumbling reverberating in the air. Wang Lin closed his eyes, his divine sense spiraling around the statue, his entire body crackling with lightning. He had the primordial thunder dragon's nascent soul, making him the master of the thunder of this world. All thunder must bow to his command. However, the lightning in the stone statue's brow carried an ancient aura and an unruly nature. It drifted around the statue, constantly clashing with Wang Lin's controlled thunder. From a distance, one could see that the area around the statue was filled with thunderballs, with arcs of electricity spreading everywhere. The booming thunder echoed relentlessly. This was the entanglement of thunder with thunder, the roar of lightning with thunder, and a fierce battle of control over the thunder. Wang Lin did not choose to comprehend it like Songzi Cang did, submitting to the lightning sigil in the statue's brow, worshipping it like a servant to borrow its thunder for insight. He was different. He had defied the heavenly Tao, walking the earth with pride, challenging heaven itself, rebelling to attain the Tao, and contending with heavenly tribulations. He would never follow Songzi Cang's path of worship. Even though the lightning power contained within this statue was enough to shake the heavens, capable of summoning the seventh spirit of the sealing boundary, Wang Lin would not bow to it. Instead, he intended to force the lightning in this statue to submit. He would make it bow to him. He would not merely comprehend it, but absorb all of it, demanding it to worship him. This was his pride, the pride of a rebel cultivator, and the dignity of an ancient god. Could any other race compare to the ancient gods? Even the moon devourers, Wang Lin knew from Xun'er, were once mere servants of the ancient gods. Those with the lightning sigil, like those of the Outer Realm clan, had to submit to him too. Wang Lin opened his eyes, revealing a dominating glint. With a cold snort, he raised his right hand and slammed it heavily onto the statue's head. A rumbling sound echoed as the statue didn't collapse but erupted with an earth-shattering lightning bolt. This bolt shot into the sky, transforming into a lightning dragon, roaring as it charged directly toward Wang Lin. As it charged, it absorbed all surrounding thunder, carrying a hint of madness and ferocity, getting closer and closer to Wang Lin. The lightning dragon was ferocious, but Wang Lin was even more so. The lightning dragon was wild, and Wang Lin was 10 or even 100 times wilder. At the instant it roared and charged, Wang Lin's right eye flashed with dazzling bolts of lightning, and his primordial spirit shot out from the center of his brow. The primordial thunder dragon seemed to descend into the seven colors realm. With a roar, Wang Lin's primordial thunder dragon primordial spirit collided directly with the lightning dragon, devouring it madly. As it continued to consume, the ancient god star mark faintly appeared within the whirlpool at the center of Wang Lin's brow. Ancient god power surged through his body. Raising his right hand, he clenched it forcefully, and in that instant, a massive ancient god's arm materialized. As Wang Lin's right hand grasped, it seized the lightning dragon in one go and squeezed hard. The lightning dragon, currently locked in a battle of consumption with Wang Lin's primordial spirit, trembled violently. It roared, struggling to break free, but the ancient god's hand held it tight, and with a crushing motion, it caused a massive burst of thunder to erupt from within its body. At that moment, Wang Lin's primordial spirit swept forward, swallowing the lightning dragon whole and drawing it back into his body. The lightning in his right eye suddenly grew several times stronger, causing everything around Wang Lin to blur, except for his right eye, which shone with an overwhelming brilliance. All thunder that exists in this world must obey my command. Wang Lin's voice was calm, yet there was an invisible pressure that enveloped the surroundings, causing the lightning spreading around to suddenly converge and rush straight at him. All of it gathered in his right eye, forming a lightning sigil. At the moment this lightning sigil appeared in Wang Lin's right eye, cracks suddenly erupted all over the statue beneath him. These cracks spread rapidly from the statue's feet, resembling dragons of fissures racing toward the statue's head where Wang Lin stood. The sound of cracking was earth-shattering, and flashes of lightning flickered within the cracks. As they drew near, the statue seemed on the verge of shattering, but it remained towering and unyielding. The cracks, filled with roaming lightning, swiftly closed in on Wang Lin. But as the rumbling sound of the cracks reverberated in the air, countless silver snakes of lightning flashed around the statue's head, forming a massive lightning ball with a radius of 100 feet. Wang Lin stood within that ball of lightning, as the struggling bolts of lightning resisted his control, contracting rapidly and rushing straight at him. A cold hum echoed as Wang Lin's body was surrounded by electric arcs. His cultivation might not be enough to contend with the statue's inner power, but his primordial spirit was the heavenly thunder dragon. He was the master of the thunder of heaven and earth. In the face of lightning, no force could oppose him. This had nothing to do with cultivation. It was a battle of thunder. The primordial thunder dragon acted on behalf of the Tao of Heaven's authority over thunder. In Wang Lin's case, he did not believe in the Tao of Heaven. He stole the right to control the thunder, becoming the Tao itself, and he controlled the lightning of heaven and earth. The statue was the ancestor of the Lightning Thunder clan, one of the ancient people of the primordial era. Despite its death, it had lived with thunder, its very being transformed into lightning, and its spirit was sealed in the lightning sigil at the brow. It would never yield easily. Furthermore, according to legend, the ancestor of the Lightning Thunder clan was a bolt of thunder itself, defying heaven. It could not be subdued by the Tao of heaven. Anyone who worshipped this figure could gain the power of lightning, but anyone who resisted would be destroyed by divine thunder. However, Wang Lin was going to resist. His right eye flashed with lightning, and his primordial thunder dragon primordial spirit once again flew out, circling around his body. It roared toward the rapidly contracting lightning ball. The roar conveyed the dignity of controlling the lightning of heaven and earth. The lightning ball continued to shrink, but it stopped just 1 foot from Wang Lin's body, emitting a thunderous sound, yet it could not contract a single inch further. Wang Lin stood up, as if transformed into a thunder immortal. At the same time, ancient god aura radiated from him. If the ancient gods could merge with thunder, then he was the ancient thunder god. Submit or be destroyed. Wang Lin's divine sense transmitted his will. He knew that the lightning surrounding him was no ordinary thunder but lightning infused with its own will. With will, it became spirit. This lightning was thunder spirits, formed from the consciousness of the Lightning Thunder clan ancestor after death. The thunderous rumblings echoed as the lightning ball around Wang Lin trembled. Under the influence of the ancient god aura and Wang Lin's thunderous might, it finally yielded. It transformed into flashes of lightning, racing straight toward the primordial thunder dragon primordial spirit. With a thunderous roar, the primordial thunder dragon primordial spirit grew larger, and at the same time, the statue trembled as if it was about to collapse. Wang Lin took a step forward, standing in the void. Turning, his eyes flashed as he stared at the lightning sigil on the statue's brow that had yet to fade. Your clan, from now on, will no longer have the right to wield thunder before me. Wang Lin's right eye flashed, and the primordial thunder dragon primordial spirit roared, circling around him and merging with the lightning in his right eye. It transformed into a lightning sigil and charged toward the statue's brow, aiming for its totem. With a deafening crash, the lightning struck directly at the totem on the stone statue's forehead. The statue trembled violently, and in that split second, as the lightning descended, the statue's eyes suddenly emitted a brilliant light. Within its eyes, Wang Lin saw a vast starry sky. In that sky, there was a grand formation so massive that it seemed to span the entire star domain, tightly sealing everything within. Surrounding the formation were countless strange figures, dressed in odd attire, clearly not cultivators. Their eyes were filled with cold mockery and disdain as they gazed at the formation. Inside the formation, immortal energy swirled, and primordial energy resonated, as numerous ancient chi refiners and immortals desperately attacked the formation, trying to break free. But the formation was incredibly bizarre, impenetrable. No matter how the chi refiners and immortals struck, it did not budge. Some immortals even resorted to self-detonation, yet could not shake the formation in the slightest. A deep sense of despair and sorrow enveloped everything within. Within the formation, 9 beams of light flickered. One of the beams was a massive axe of creation. Wherever the axe passed, anyone attempting to break through was utterly obliterated. Wang Lin even witnessed many chi refiners, filled with sorrow, choosing self-detonation in a last-ditch effort to seal the axe of creation, but in the end, they failed. Among the 9 beams of light, one was lightning. This lightning rumbled as it surged forward, leaving a path of destruction. Cultivators and immortals alike were struck down, dying instantly. Outside the formation, the observers' gazes were filled with even greater scorn and indifference, as if watching mere ants, common mortals, from a position of lofty nobility. Unwilling. I am unwilling. One day, the generations that follow us shall break this formation and wipe out all of you foreign beings, all your people of the outer realm, until the blood runs like rivers, roared an immortal struck by the lightning, his voice full of madness just before his death.